sure to get your playmat today at tsx1.com.
So, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Sam from Team SAMURAIX one here. Happy Friday! Hopefully you guys are having one Friday. Friday is Yesterday's video, I opened up the Spirit Charmers structure deck for you guys on the channel. And today, I got you guys something very special. Today, I got you guys 3 structure deck Spirit Charmers for you guys today. So this one is already open. If you guys haven't checked out the opening video, make sure you guys check it in the description box below. I'll leave a link for you guys to check that out. Anyways, in today's video, I'll be making a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh deck with just only $30. 30 bucks. That's pretty affordable, right? So if you guys are starting to play the game of Yu-Gi-Oh, and for those of you who are on a budget, this series is definitely a series for you. So I'll explain to you guys all the card choices and some combos that you guys can do when it comes to building with only 3 Yu-Gi-Oh structure decks. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Spirit Charmers obviously is one of the biggest waifu decks in the entire Yu-Gi-Oh community. It is a very fun deck to play, and it can also be competitive as well if you build the deck correctly. So make sure you guys pay attention in this video. Oh, by the way guys, Spirit Charmers playmat is also available now. Make sure you guys get it today. Limited edition playmat. Hit the link down below at tsx1.com. Alright guys, get it down below. Go, go, go. Anyways, for those of you on the channel for the very first time, consider hitting the subscribe button. Make sure you guys turn on. You guys already know what the deal is. As always, don't forget to break up that elbow, that thumbs up button for more awesome Yu-Gi-Oh videos, man. All right, guys, don't waste any more time. Without further ado, let's get started with the brand new 3 times $30 Spirit Charmers structure deck profile. All right, guys, let's begin. Alright guys, welcome to the budget competitive version for the structure deck Spirit Charmers deck profile. Alright guys, like I mentioned to you guys earlier, this deck, all you guys need is literally 3 structure deck Charmers, and you basically have the entire deck. And this is for those of you who are on a budget and you guys are wondering what you can do with 3 structure decks. This is the perfect deck list in my opinion. I'll explain to you guys some cool interactions and some combos you guys can do with this deck near the end of the video, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Alright guys, off to your familiar Charmer monsters. You're going to play, of course, the 1 familiar Possessed Hida, okay, the 1 familiar Possessed Iria, 1 familiar Possessed Wind, and last but not least, you're going to play, of course, the 1 familiar Possessed Elsa right here. Only 1 copies of each familiar monsters, I believe, is the correct ratio that you should be playing for this budget variant of the deck. Although that this is a budget variation of Charmers, I kind of want to make this deck as consistent as possible. And these cards are the cards that you kind of never want to see multiple of in your hand. It is good to draw them because of the floodgates that you're playing in the deck and how the deck functions. With the cards that I have access to from the structure deck, I kind of want to make this deck as control heavy as much as possible. So seeing 1 copy is fine. Multiple copies of these cards are never great, and these cards are always searchable off your Spirit Charmer spell card. So it's not necessary to see multiple copies of these cards in your hand at all, and it's easily searchable from your deck to your hand with cards like Fairy Tale Luna, right? So 1 of each familiar possessed monsters, 1 wind, fire, water, and also earth. Earth is kind of the most important one because it has the most synergy with the awakening of the possessed monsters, in my personal opinion, but 1 of each familiar possessed monsters is by far more than enough. And the amazing thing about all these familiar possessed monsters is that they're all beaters with 1850 attack, and especially with your continuous spells and also cards like Unpossessed, they help you boost up these cards attack by a ton. So these cards are just absolutely amazing to partner off alongside those continuous spells and also the Unpossessed continuous trap card. So that's pretty much it for all the 1 of familiar possessed monsters that you're playing in the deck. Only 1 copy of each is by far more than enough that you should be playing in this competitive version of the $30 structure deck. So 1 of each. Next off for your awakening of the possessed monsters, I believe the best one is obviously the Earth one right here, the Archfiend. This card is amazing. So to partner off with the big Archfiend, you're playing, of course, 3 Nefarious Archfiend Eater right here. This card is also really important. Like I mentioned earlier, the Earths are just really good. This card is insane. The reason why you only play 1 copy, however, is because you're able to trigger off this card's ability in the deck. And one other thing about this card is that it activates in the deck, and which does not start a chain, which is really wonderful. What this card does is that you can special summon this card from your hand or deck by sending 1 face-up spellcaster monster and 1 face level 4 lore Earth monster you control to the graveyard. Special summon this card directly from the deck, and when this card is special summoned, you can special summon 1 level 4 lore monster from your graveyard but negate its effect. 2, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add 1 spiritual earth art card or 1 possessed spell trap from your deck to your hand. So this card searches whenever it's sent to the field to the graveyard. Most importantly, whenever it's special summoned, you get special level 4 lore monster from your graveyard which in this case is going to be your familiar possessed monsters, which is absolutely incredible, right? So this card is like by far the best one, and for the competitive version, I believe this is the one that you want to focus on trying to get all the earth monsters out as quickly as possible. And Nefarious Archfiend Eater is really important because it's an earth, and the summoning condition of this card is very easy. As long as you control a spellcaster monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. So you control any spellcaster, okay, and then you can special summon this from your hand, and then you can activate this card directly from the deck by sending Nefarious and also any spellcaster to the graveyard, special this card directly from the deck, and then you can monster reborn back your spellcaster monster, which is insane. And then you can monster reborn back your spellcaster monster, which is insane. And then whenever this card gets sent to the graveyard, or not by battle, or you link it off, if you are playing links in your deck, you basically get to search your possessed spell trap card directly from your deck to your hand. So this card is insane. So 1 the big Archfiend dude and 3 of the small eaters card's really good. And you're only playing 1 copy of this card is because you never want to see this card in your opening hand. Only 1 copy is enough playing. Same thing for the fire. You want to play, of course, Awaken the Possess Inari Fire right here. This is the big boss, 9-tail Fox. Absolutely amazing as well. The difference is that whenever this card is special from the deck, you basically get to inflict damage to your opponent equal to 1 monster that they control on the field. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to search 1 possessed spell and trap card directly from your deck to your hand. So card's really good. So only 1 copy of fire and 2 copies of the small fire dude, Inari Fire right here. Same thing with Archfiend. As long as you control a spellcaster monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then you can send Inari Fire and also another spellcaster to the graveyard to special summon this dude directly from the deck, which is absolutely amazing. I felt like 2-in-1 ratio is fine in my personal opinion. The main goal is trying to get out the earth guy as much as possible, and like I said, guys, only 1 of each copy is more than enough. You don't want to play multiple copies of these guys because these are the cards that you kind of never want to see in your hand, right? And you want to try to make your deck as consistent as possible, so getting these bigger Awakening of Possessed monsters directly from your deck is just far more important rather than seeing these cards in your opening hand, right? So 1 copy of the big fire and 2 copies of Inari Fire. And nonetheless, guys, these cards are just really great to swarm the board while you control a spellcaster monster, alongside, of course, Nefarious Archfiend as well. So they're basically free summons, which is really nice. And there's an interaction with this card as well, and also Nefarious, where you can destroy this card and it comes back during your standby phase, which is incredible, right? So Inari Fire in combinations of the Archfiend, just really good. So that's pretty much it for all your Awakening Possess and familiar cards. You don't need to play more. By far the best familiar monster in the deck is Fairy Tail Luna. She's absolutely incredible. Fairy Tail Luna is literally the best familiar possessed monster. Although she's not a familiar possessed card, she's literally like the best. Like when she's normal summoned, you basically get to search any of your familiar possessed monsters directly from your deck to her hand. She can also search herself, which is insane because she has 1850 attack, which is really good. And all these guys right here that you see on the bottom, all these cards right here, what do they all have in common? They're all 1850 attack. So Luna can search you these cards directly from your deck to her hand. Not only can Luna search these cards, but Spirit Charmers can also get access to these cards directly from your deck, and that's why it is not as important to play multiple copies of this card. If you want to play multiple copies, you can go ahead, but for this variation, like I said, I want to try to make this deck as consistent as possible, so only 1 copy is definitely more than enough that you should be playing in this familiar possessed deck. So Luna is amazing, she's great, and she's also an interruption as well. She's a compulsory evacuation device, which is absolutely phenomenal. So 3 Luna, she's great, the best charmer in the deck. And one of your main interruptions alongside Luna is you want to play, of course, 3 copies of Witchcrafter Gora Maruru. She's incredible. So what this card does is that when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a spellcaster monsters you control or target it for an attack, quick effect, you can target 1 card your opponent controls or 1 Witchcrafter spell in your graveyard, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, return that targeted card to the hand. So it's another compulsory evacuation for the deck, and it's a way that protects your spellcaster monsters from getting run over, right? So whenever a spellcaster monster you control be targeted by a card effect or targeted for attack, you can literally special this card, target a card on the field, and then return it to the hand, which is incredible. And this card is also really good because it always bounces to your hand during your opponent's standby phase every turn. So you return this card to your hand, so that way you always have consistent interruptions against your opponent, right, while you control a spellcaster monster. So Witchcrafter Golem Maruru is absolutely phenomenal for this budget variation of the deck. And you kind of want to see this card in your opening hand 100% of the time alongside with Luna, right? So Luna searches your familiar possessed monsters and then backing up with Golem Maruru, which is insane. So within itself, already these 2 cards is already 2 disruptions against your opponent if you open up with these 2 cards right here. These 6 most important cards alongside the familiar possessed cards in your deck. And last but not least, you're going to play, of course, triple Effect Veiler. This deck comes with 3 hand traps, so you must play 3 copies of Effect Veiler to combat against the meta. And the wonderful thing about this is that one, it's spellcaster, so if you ever need to normal summon it alongside with your Necro Archfiend, you can literally special summon, of course, the Awakening to Possess bigger Archfiend directly from the deck by just sending Effect Veiler and an Earth Archfiend to the graveyard, right? So Effect Veiler is really good nonetheless. Great hand trap, not once per turn. Veiler is amazing. Next off for your spells, the best spell in the deck is triple Spirit Charmers. Absolutely insane. You must play 3 copies of this card without a doubt. This card is amazing. So it's like Melody of the Awakening Dragons. What you can do is that discard 1 card, take 2 cards from your deck with different names from each other that are Charmers monsters, familiar possessed monsters, and or possessed spawn traps. Add one of them to your hand and set the other. So you can set the monster, set the spawn trap, add monster, have the spawn trap, whatever. You usually need to choose 2 cards that are different names, right? So Spirit Charmer is amazing, and it's also a quick play, which is very awesome. So triple Spirit Charmers. Next off, the 1 copy of Awaken of the Possessed. Only 1 copy. This card is a searchable Awaken of the Possessed spell card, which is continuous with the effects that reads: monsters you control gain unit attack for each different attribute you control. Charmers and familiar possessed monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. If a spellcaster monster with 1850 original attack is normal summon or special summon to your field, draw 1 card. So you consistently draw 1 card every single turn. So only 1 copy of this because it's not one of those cards that you want to see in your opening hand 100,000% of the time. Yes, it is good to bump your Awakened Possessed cards. Yes, it's awesome to draw 1 card every single turn, but I felt like 1 copy is definitely more than enough because Spirit Charmers can search this card directly from your deck to your field, which is incredible, right? So only 1 copy of this. And last but not least, for your Spiritual Art card, you're going to play, of course, 1 copy of Grand Spiritual Art Ichiran right here. This card isn't the greatest in my opinion, but it's still an awesome field spell that you can easily search directly from your deck off terraforming. Okay, what this card does is negate your opponent's first monster effect that resolves each turn while you control a spellcaster monster with 1500 defense. So it's kind of like an effect wheel on the field, but you must control a spellcaster monster. During your main phase, you can reveal 1 spellcaster monster from your hand, and if you do, add 1 monster with the same attribute but with 1500 attack, 200 defense from your deck to your hand, and if you do, shuffle that reveal card into the deck. So you're basically switching your possessed cards with your Inari Fire or your Necro Archfiend, right? This card's first effect is by far more important than the second effect, but I felt like this card isn't just the greatest for the budget variant. If you guys want to play this, go ahead, but only 1 copy is enough. But I felt like the most important field spell that you should be playing in the deck is triple Secret Village of the Spellcasters. So this deck is a control heavy deck. You rather see this card over your Spiritual Art card. This card is by far more superior than this. You activate this card, potentially win the game. Basically, if you control a Spellcaster monster and your opponent doesn't, your opponent cannot activate spell cards. So it's like an auto game against decks that utilize spells. So a deck that has a bunch of extenders, you're not winning the duel. Like Noble Knights, yeah, good luck, man. Good luck trying to resolve your equipped spells, man. You're never going to be able to resolve it. So Secret Village Spellcaster is just insane. So you want to prioritize control with this budget deck over playing like this card right here. So this is by far so much superior than the Spiritual Art card. And last but not least, of course, the 1 terraforming, because you're playing 4 copies of Secret Village of the Spellcasters, right? So that's pretty much for your spells. Off to your traps, the best trap in the deck is Triple Possessed Partnership. This card is broken. So what this card does is that special summon 1 spellcaster monster 1500 defense from your hand or graveyard in attack position or face down defense position, and then you control monsters with 2 or more different attributes. You can destroy 1 face-up card in the field. So it's an interruption, which is actually really awesome. It's also searchable off your Awaken of the Possessed monsters. And you can banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 possessed continuous spell trap in your grave. Place it face up on your field. So the reason why you're only playing 1 copy of Awakening of the Possessed is because you can easily recycle this card back to your field with Possessed Partnership. So like, there's no need to play multiple combos of this, because if your opponent were to destroy with cards like Phoenix or something like that, you can always banish this card to just put this card to your side of the field, which is really good. And you can also do this with the Unpossessed Trap card as well. So Partnership is just insane. Hits interruption, it puts more bodies on the board, and also recycles your spell and traps, which is incredible. So you're also playing 2 Unpossessed. This card is so good as well. What this card does is that Charmer monster control cannot be destroyed in battle. Amazing. If a familiar possessed monster control attacks an opponent monster, it gains 800 defense during damage calculation only. If monster control is destroyed by battle, a card effect, while this card is already face up in your spell and trap card zone, you can special 1 spellcaster monster with 1500 defense directly from your deck, whose attribute is different from at least one of those destroyed monsters' original attributes on the field in attack position or face down defense position. So this card directly accesses your familiar possessed monsters with different attributes directly from the deck whenever they get destroyed. Not only does it trigger off when your familiar possessed monster is destroyed, but whenever any monster is destroyed, it gets special summon, of course, a familiar possessed monster directly from the deck. So this card is so good. So it combos off really well with this card right here, because if this card's on the field and you activate this card's ability to pop a card, you basically get to trigger off this card's effect, especially when a familiar possessed monster directly from the deck. So Unpossessed is insane. Last but not least, of course, triple Solemn Warning. Like I mentioned earlier, this deck is a control heavy deck, so Solemn Warning is just great. Last but not least, you're gonna play, of course, the 1 copy of Metaverse to directly activate Secret Village directly from the deck. And then you're playing, of course, 2 copies of Dimensional Barrier. This card is low-key really good against this metagame because a lot of decks utilize the synchro package after they resolve Needle Fiber. So once they activate Hockey Fibrax, you just go Dimensional Barrier after they make Link Cross and call Synchros, and they can't Synchro Summon, and their zones are basically blocked, which is really good. So D-Barrier is just insane. So D-Barrier is just very nice as format. So that's pretty much it for the main deck, guys. Let's go off with some of the combos you guys can actually do with this deck real quick. For this combo segment, I'm going to showcase you guys some cool interactions on what you can do with the cards that you have access to from the structure deck. The combos are very limited because you do not have access to the extra deck, but if you guys have extra money to spend, if you guys want to spend a couple dollars more, you guys can actually get some of the cards from the extra deck, and you don't need a lot to complete this extra deck over here, right? So I'll give you guys some options on what you guys can do budget-wise when it comes to this combo right here. So, alright guys, before we get started with the combo, if you guys haven't gotten your limited edition Spirit Charmers playmat, make sure you guys get it today. Hit the link down below at tx1.com. This playmat is only available for a limited time only, so make sure you guys get this playmat today. Hit the link down below. Alright guys, let's get started with the combo real quick. The first combo I want to showcase you guys is with Luna, either Inari Fire or opening out with Nefarious Archfiend right here. You can just go normal summon Luna. You can activate Luna's effect. You can search any familiar possessed monster directly from your deck to your hand. And then for this instance, you can summon, of course, the Nefarious from your hand because you control a spellcaster monster. And then what you can do is that you can activate your Awakening of the Possessed Nefarious Archfiend directly from the deck by sending these 2 cards to the graveyard, especially this card directly from the deck. And then you activate this card's effect to revive back the Luna. In this situation right here, this is where the combo kind of lacks off. You want to try to get a disruption for during your opponent's turn as consistently as possible, but for this case, you know, you basically search a Luna and then you summon this from the deck, and then that's pretty much it, right? It's not the greatest thing, but if you have access to the extra deck, what you can do, if you have access to Elsa right here, the Earth Charmer Immovable, this card right here, I believe is like $1 or so, or maybe even less. So if you guys want to get copies of these cards, you guys could. Like, you guys can either get Elsa right here, which is like $1. You can get Win right here, which is $1 as well. And you can also get Iria right here. It just all depends on what cards you have access to. But generally, you want to get access to Link 2 monsters, so to IP Masquerena as well. It just all depends on the cards that you do have access to, right? So this is why these cards are just really important, and the Charmer monsters are very important, especially the Link monsters, the extra deck, is because you want to try to basically resolve this card's ability to search your disruption, right? So for this case, it all depends on what you guys have. I'll use the cheapest option here, which is also right here. So what you can do is that you can link these 2 off. Right here to summon Elsa, the Earth Charmer right here, Link monster. Once Awakening the Possessed is sent to the graveyard, you get a trigger off its effect to search your Possessed Spawn Trap card directly from your deck to your hand. And the Spawn Trap card that you want to search is, of course, your Possessed Partnership. This card is ridiculous. Directly from your deck, you set it, and then during your opponent's turn, you can activate Partnership, Special Mojito from your hand, and then you pop a card on your opponent's field, right? Which is absolutely amazing. So, which is why the Link monsters is actually very, very crucial to play for sure. So, guys, definitely invest in $1 or so to get this bad boy right here. Would be absolutely amazing. So, alright guys, off to the next combo right here. This is literally 3 disruptions with the cards that you have access to from the structure deck, right? So opening with Possess, Partnerships, Witchcraft, the Golem, Ruru, and Fairy Tale Luna is like the god hand for this budget version. So what you can do is simple. You can normal summon Luna, activate Luna's effect. You can search Hito directly from your deck to your hand. You can set the Partnerships and then pretty much pass to your opponent. During your opponent's turn, you can activate Possess Partnerships, Special Summon Hito. Since you control 2 attributes, you destroy a card your opponent controls. And then during the battle phase, what you can do is that you can activate Witchcraft or Gorm Ruru, bounce a card they control to the hand, special summon this card, and then you basically protect your spellcaster's monster on the field. And you have Luna as well, the compulsory evacuation device. And if your opponent doesn't have the card to send to the graveyard, you basically bounce back this card to your hand, and you basically just win the duel from there on in, right? So that's just a basic combo you can do. And if that were the case and you're able to use Luna effectively, and Luna was able to resolve to bounce back, and this happens, what you do is that during the next turn, you normal summon Luna, activate Luna's effect, you search your Win directly from your deck to your hand, and then what you can do is that you can just send these 2 to the graveyard, to special summon, of course, the fire, the bigger version, inflict damage to your opponent, deal more damage, which is absolutely amazing, right? So it depends on the cards that you have in your hand to combo off. It's pretty hard to combo off without having link monsters in your extra deck, but if you do have link monsters, like I mentioned earlier, 2-card combo literally gives you the 1 disruption, which is absolutely amazing, right? So alright guys, so the last cool interaction that I want to showcase you guys with the budget structure deck is with 1 Spellcaster monster alongside Inari Fire and also Nefarious Archfiend Eater of Nefariousness, right? So what can you do with this? The cool interaction with this, what you can do, so you can normal summon Heat Up, special summon Inari Fire, and then special summon, of course, the Archfiend from your hand, since you control a Spellcaster monster. Send these cards to the graveyard to special summon Awakening of the Possessed Archfiend directly from your deck, and then you activate this card's effect to revive back the Heat Up from your graveyard, and then you can send these 2 cards to the graveyard to special summon, of course, right here, Inari Fire directly from the deck. You deal damage to your opponent. You can enter battle phase, attack, okay, which is actually really awesome. And then what you can do is that if you have a link monster, okay, what you can do is that you can link these 2 off to make Elsa right here, which is great. And you basically get to activate these 2 cards, which is really awesome, to search your possessed partnership and also your unpossessed directly from your deck or hand. That's some options that you guys can do when it comes to playing this deck on a budget. Nonetheless, this deck is really fun. This deck is obviously waifu central. If you guys want to see the full power deck profile, smash the living heck out of that thumbs up button. It'll be absolutely amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. As always, smash the thumbs up button. Make sure you guys get your limited edition Charmer playmat today. Hit the link down below at tx1.com. This is your boy Sam from Team Sam signing out. Alright guys, peace.
Be sure to get your playmat today at tsx1.com.